That's how we own it. Welcome to Street Politicians. I'm Mysonne.
And I'm Tamika D, Mallory. And this is the place where the streets and politics meet. We're so excited about our new partnership. Street Politicians is going to have a larger, a bigger platform. Huge platform.
Super huge.
And that's going to be through our great friendship and partnership with Charlemagne the God. We're so proud of him and his new venture with iHeartMedia, the Black Effect Podcast Network. I got to say it right. The Black Effect Podcast Network. It's a lot of words, but it says all the things.
All the things.
All the things. It's black people talking about black issues, and it's through a black person who's committed to social justice, committed to black culture, and we are too excited to be able to have our podcast have some distribution so that people can hear it.
Black.
That's what he says. It's blackity black. So that's the new thing that folks need to know about Street Politicians, and we're working on making sure that our podcast is enjoyable for all of you. We won't just be talking about politics. I know a lot of people think that, we're just, all we do all day long is get up, go to sleep doing politics. Right. So that's why we called it Street Politicians. So that we could talk about things that's going on just on the streets. In the world. This week, we got a lot of stuff going on. Our organization, Until Freedom, is very, very busy. And my son has been running around. You've been out in the street with Trade the Truth acting like y'all are artists or something, doing some type of album.
Oh, listen. First and foremost, I rap my ass.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's first and foremost.
You do that sometimes. No, but y'all been running around all day and night acting like y'all putting something together.
It's not really acting. But shout out to my boy Trade the Truth. We literally just got off the phone. We putting together this album called If You Scared, Stay Inside. It's going to be one of the best albums of this year because it's our perspective, like being on the front lines of this movement and also being from the hood and having that merge in that perspective. So we put together a soundtrack to the movement, like the soundtrack to the front line of the movement.
So why does it have to be so hard? Like, first of all, I talk big stuff sometimes, so I'm always in trouble because my mouth, so I get it. I'm not saying that I don't agree. I'm just saying that there are some people who may say, why does it have to be like, if you scared, stay at home, instead of it being more inviting and friendly for people?
But it's usually, more than likely, it's going to be a scared person that asks that question. Because if you're not scared, then you get why I have to say that, because a lot of people are scared. So it's few of us that aren't scared.
Scared of what?
Just period. To be outside, to be on the front lines, to utilize your voice, to sacrifice, So this is what it is, and this is who we are. We are alpha males who stand on the front line, besides our black sisters, protecting our black sisters, willing to sacrifice for our black sisters. So this is the perspective that we come from.
So it's like in the movement. It's not like if you scared of another
it's everything.
Dude.
Not a
don't
dude
show
like
up
a
in
dude.
the
No, it's
street
not really that because we've evolved past that. You understand what I'm saying? We have. We've evolved past it. Now we with it. If we're not gonna be oppressed, we're not gonna let you beat us up. We ain't gonna let you harm us. You know what I'm saying? But we don't advocate for that type of lifestyle. Now we just we are willing to meet you where you are. You understand what I'm saying?
So if you scared,
that's the evolution.
Stay inside.
The evolution of a street hood dude. We willing to meet you where you are. We don't advocate for anybody.
Right.
But we definitely ain't running from anybody.
Well, we talked about you guys being out here day and night acting like y'all putting together
12
projects.
songs,
Until I hear it, y'all are acting like y'all doing something and just using it as a reason for you and Trey to be in Kentucky, moving around, meeting people, and y'all go out. I don't know where y'all find these men.
We actually recorded this album in 2 days.
You did, but now y'all are doing videos, so this is the new thing. So when we're working at the table, you and Trey is somewhere writing and talking, and
everybody got a job to do.
That's what you said. So we're still in Kentucky.
Still in Kentucky.
It's been 2 months.
2 whole months.
It's rough.
It's a lot.
You left your children.
I miss my kids. My sons had a soccer game yesterday. They both scored goals. So I owe them gifts. Keston was on there told me I need to buy him a puppy. I'm like, a puppy?
Oh, Lord.
I'm not buying nobody no puppy.
Because
the puppy turns into a whole nother life that I got to take care of.
Yeah, that's a child.
Yeah, he ain't going to do that. He going to pick it up, and then when it start crapping all over the place. He gonna come to get me to do it. When he's hungry, he gonna come. I'm not gonna be involved.
You're not doing a puppy. Well,
I told him he wants something else for his Roblox game, but I ain't doing nothing for no puppy.
but it's difficult because it's like on one hand, we obviously made a decision that I think was best for not just our organization, but also just like the stress of taking planes back and forth, trying to get to Kentucky to stand with Breonna's family would have been very taxing. And so it's like you always give up something. Like you win on one side and you give up on the other because we gave up the comfort of our homes, our families, and all of those things and the things that we're used to, you know, our cars and all of that, to move in together with other folks and trying to like figure out every day how not to kill each other in one space, which we haven't done bad.
No,
We've been all right.
Because I think it's because our house is segmented. You can go to your little
You go
corner.
to your space, I go to mine, which we often have to do, especially when we was having our big debate last night about love and relationships. You just walked out on us and said you wasn't going to be involved in that conversation.
Because I don't really agree.
Nothing we say.
At all.
Right, okay. So it is what it is, you know. Tiffy Pop doesn't agree with you. She's
Tiffy Pop
producing
always
on the
agrees
back.
with you.
No,
I
she does not.
I found that out yesterday.
Okay.
Shout out to Tiffy Pop, who
That's our
always
girl.
agrees with Tamika.
She does not. So she just was telling the truth. See,
the truth,
Tamika tells the truth. Mysonne makes up theories.
That's what it is. Because
And so
Tamika be like,
Pop was
yo,
in with the
so
truth.
we went. That's exactly what it is. You don't even finish the sentence. She like, well,
if she said it already,
she said,
why
listen,
would I need
the
to finish
reason
what
why it
she
happened,
said?
and you be starting like the reason why. Listen, that's right.
And then you make
and
up
I be
the
like, yo,
story
could you
and
let
go
her
to the
finish
next thing.
what she said before you agree?
Anyway,
First, you would have to finish what you're saying for somebody to agree with you. Tiffy Pop was like, that's right. What she's saying right now. Yep, right there. You ain't even finished the words. I'm like,
anyway,
this is amazing.
You left. And so that's one of the ways that we've been able to get through it. Yep. But it has been difficult to be away from our loved ones and to be here in Kentucky. But then being in Kentucky gave us the ability to be able to get up and at the drop of a dime, be in with the local community, be here for important moments, plan, organize. So many people have flown in to be a part of our efforts, whether it be Irv Rowland, who works with the NBA and some NFL players, whether it be Kenny Stills, Tori Russell, who else? Everybody. Tiffany Lofton from the NAACP, Leslie Redmond from the NAACP, Dewana Thomas. I mean, we just, everybody. Stephen Green, who is our main man. Exactly. And it's just been, and there's so many more. Trade of Truth. Again. They've been able to fly in and stay here to be like implants, if you will, in Louisville to help with this fight to keep things going, to stand with the local community. And so I guess, you know, you give up some, you win some, you lose some, or I don't want to say lose because we never lose our loved ones, but we definitely have made that sacrifice. And so now, while we're here, what we decided, I think the first month we thought we would definitely be here from August to September and we would probably go home. And then we continued to stay because we realized that Breonna Taylor is not just a woman who was killed. I say that all the time. She wasn't just killed. She was a person who had a very full life. And the things that she cared about in her life are things that matter to the community that she left behind. So now we find ourselves in a situation where we're actually building with the community, working on our capacity building campaign, helping some of the local organizations to grow and to train and to figure out ways to move forward in light of the fact that this major tragedy has happened in the community and things have changed. It's not the same here. So I've heard from so many, and we're going to be talking to activists and others, you know, as time goes on, as a part of this series that we're doing on Breonna Taylor. We'll be talking to a bunch of folks that have been involved in the case. But now we're on the ground in a different way. And then we hooked up with State Representative Attica Scott, who we also will be talking to on Breonna's law, which will ban no-knock warrants. It was done in Louisville, which we know Katora Herron from the ACLU and Hannah Drake and others were able to get no-knock warrants banned in Louisville, but not in the state of Kentucky. And then there's states all over the country that still have the policy where police officers can use a no-knock warrant. And so we want to make sure that that is banned, and therefore we support Breonna's law.
That's the goal, you know. Like you said, we realized when we came here that although Breonna was a major issue and a major problem that we needed to focus on, that it was so much more, and that Breonna, you know's life meant so much more, and it created not only just a conversation, but it created a movement, you know, and that's what we realized. And we realized that we had to utilize our voice, we had to utilize our platforms, we had to utilize all our resources to put them here in Louisville, because right now this is ground zero for the movement. Like what's happening here is going to shape the next 20 to 30 years of our lives. So, you know, we realized that we had an important part to play in that. You know, we had to be here for the family of Breonna Taylor. We had to be here for just the city of Louisville, because when we got here, it wasn't just us working. It became family. It became like we actually moved here. So
we actually lived in Kentucky.
Took up residency.
For a minute. Took up residency, temporary residency. And I think, you know, now as it's sort of winding down, because we've got to hit the road, which, you know, obviously our GOTV efforts will take us around the country. And as we begin the process of moving out of Kentucky, it's sort of like a bittersweet feeling, because now we've become one with people who, these are some passionate and very courageous individuals. To see people hold down Breonna's name in the way that they have, and to hold down an actual place in the middle of the city, a park, what is Injustice Square Park, it's for over 100 years. I mean, over 100 days. That's powerful. Like really, it's now 200 days, I think, since Breonna was killed, and then on top of that, people have been out there protesting since then, and a lot of young people. And so it's a bittersweet feeling, but we'll be back. We're not going anywhere. And we are going to start this GOTV tour, which also includes Kentucky, because there is a major Senate race happening in Kentucky.
Major Senate race.
Everybody
vote
likes
down ballot.
Exactly. Everybody likes to talk, but they not on Trump and Biden. I don't like either one of them. But then when it comes to showing up at the polls, you're not just going there to vote for the top of the ticket. Like you said, it's a down ballot issue. And if you want to know who's actually in charge of the policies, it's not so much the president that we need to be focused on, although we do need to vote in this election like we've never voted before.
Yes, we do.
However, we need to be focusing on down ballot elections, local elections, and one of the people that is running is the person who, in my judgment, is one of the puppet masters behind the scenes for everything that we see happening, all the craziness and outrageousness of this administration, and that is Senator Mitch McConnell. And Mitch McConnell. And Mitch McConnell
Can we change the M?
And Mitch McConnell is up against he's actually up for re-election. So in this particular election cycle, the people of Kentucky have the right to decide whether he goes back or not to Washington. And there's a woman named Amy McGrath who is running against him. We are not telling people who to vote for, but what we are saying is that if you want to see a change, you have to actually do something about it.
Yeah.
So those things are good. Like, you know, you got to actually be not just a protester, but you got to be a policymaker.
Listen, we got to turn protests into policy.
Absolutely.
That's our goal. A lot of people say, "What are you protesting? Why are you marching?" Because that's how you identify allies. That's how you see who's on the same page you are. That's how you create unity. That's how you say, we want this. And then you can take that protest and then you turn it into policy.
That's right.
There is a strategy. Don't question our strategy from your couch. Don't armchair question our strategy. Don't sit in your house and question our strategy, because we know what we are
They'll say they
doing.
want to be able to question it.
But don't.
No, but you can.
You can't. Like Linda said, stop being critics without credentials.
Well,
I don't really want to hear you. If you're not doing nothing, don't tell me how to do something.
That's right.
You can't do nothing and tell me how to do something. See, if you're doing something, then you can critique my something, but you can't critique my something if you are doing nothing.
I guess that was a bar.
I mean, some might say.
Is that what we call it?
You know, I do my thing.
Well,
you know, I'm a lyrical genius.
You said you rap your ass off, so I guess that was one of those opportunities for you to show that you actually are working on an album.
It's done. No work. It's done.
Okay.
as we talk about me rapping my ass off, you know what I'm saying? That brings me into another topic.
Mm-hmm.
Meg Thee Stallion. You know what I'm saying? Who I actually love. I think she is just so dope, outspoken. She is confident. She represents a black woman to the fullest to me, you know. And this week, she gave you a little shout out.
She did. And you know, it's funny because I remember when Meg Thee Stallion first came out, you were kind of like, and then you studied her as you do with artists all the time, and you was like, okay, she's official.
Because I don't be sold. Because you know what I'm saying? When you first come out, they always bring out girls, and she got a fat butt and this and that. And I'd be like, okay, I hear you.
But
what else? You know what I'm saying? Okay, you got a nice body, and but what else? You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. As I started to listen to her, she had more. When she does interviews, there's content there. There's a girl who was in college that actually,
that's true.
You know, that actually told. So I understand there's artistry and then there's the individual. Yeah. You know, when I make the connection to both of them, I like what she is and who she represents.
Yeah. I mean, I'm super excited, and I've actually had dinner with Meg, and so it's not, you know, some people think that folks just, people think that people just like jump up and. I mean, I never went to dinner with Beyonce, but she still put me on songs, so I thought that was quite incredible. But that's Beyonce;
so
it's a whole different thing.
So
but with Meg,
yes, absolutely.
Right, so, Beyonce, but with Meg, you know, we had dinner together, and I learned a lot about her interests, right, and how much she cares about the movement and young girls and the things that she wants to do. And what I found, quite honestly, is that. It's almost like a lot of artists don't know if they should or should not, when they should and should not, because they get criticized for doing it and not doing
but
it.
That's crazy.
How they do it, what they do it. Yeah.
But that goes into like we did the Double XL.
Right.
We interviewed
the Double XL freshman's class, which y'all told me was so cool because I didn't know what freshman's class was.
The freshman class.
And now I know it was actually a thing.
A lot of these little young artists.
They're so amazing.
They're amazing, and they want to be involved. Mulatto is dope. You know. 5EO, who else?
Lord, it was so many. You're going to
so
get yourself in trouble. Now you're going to have to come up with the whole list. But anyway, it was and that was a great opportunity, and that's exactly what we're talking about. Exactly. And it's like you don't know if you should or shouldn't. If I don't say anything and just mind my business and stay under the radar, at what point are they gonna attack me for it? If I do say something, how, what, when, and where? And so we were having that conversation, and then all of a sudden I got a call from Kevin Lyles, who actually is on our board and is a great friend of mine. His company is the management team for Meg. And they said they, you know, wanted to put a clip of my speech in something that Meg was doing. I didn't even know what it was. And don't do this at home. They sent me a release form, and that because of the fact that I know Meg, well, not even just knowing Meg, I know Kevin very well. I had my lawyer look at it real quick, never listened to it, didn't look at anything, don't know what's going on, and I was like, if it's good and I'm not going to be in trouble, sign it. Don't ever do that. Read it, pay attention, focus, and make sure you're doing the right thing. But I was like, sign it, because it's Kev, and I trust him with my life. And the next thing I know, people start texting me talking about SNL, Meg Thee Stallion, and I'm like, oh my God, this is so dang on incredible. And in fact, one of our guests, attorney Lanita Baker, was the first person to hit me up and tell me that I was on SNL. I just was like, I was sitting there like, I told her, whoa, that's big. That was my response because I was so shocked about it. So it's a good thing. But you know, it brings you and Tiffy Pop over there. Tiffy Pop's over there clapping. Yeah. But that brings me to my question of the day, my thought of the day. You know, I watch the comments sometimes. Too much. And I see all of these people writing that because Meg and her hit song, which you know I was in big trouble about WAP. They went crazy when I said that I supported, honey, let me tell you, they were so mad, and I was over there telling them that WAP is the #1 selling thing in the world. So I don't know how all of a sudden, when it's been selling from artist to artist, been selling from Uchi Wally Bang Bang to Eartha Kitt sold it to, I mean, we've been selling it. In fact, not only people selling it, some people are using it, but that's a whole different thing. And
people buying it.
And then people are buying it. That's what I'm saying. So like now all of a sudden when Meg and Cardi do it, because of the fact that it's so I don't know. It is explicit. We know that, but it's also
But it's
lights,
grown
cameras,
people.
action.
It's
But there
grown
are
people
young
who
people
have
watching them.
But
there are young people
But see,
watching
that's my
them.
thing, right?
But you know what I mean? My thought of the day, and then
Okay.
you could argue with me, and then we got to move on. So the thing about it, though, is that what I struggle with is this judgment that people have of celebrities. It's as if these folks are just perfect individuals who just do everything one way all the time. That is not the reality of human beings. Human beings are very multidimensional. Some days we want to twerk, some days we want to dance, some days we want to sing, some days we want to pray, some days we don't want to get up out the bed. We go through different things, right? And the thing that I think, or my thought is that I'm trying to help other people to come with me on this journey, is why is it that just because Meg is talking about WAP, she's talking about savages, she's talking all of this good stuff or bad stuff, however you want to categorize it. She's extremely sexy, she's, you know, and it is very explicit at times, a lot of times. Why does that mean that she can't care about her community? Or can't care about, like, you think that they care whether you are a dancer or a ball player or a lawyer? When they pull you over in the car and they kill you, they don't check your credentials of what you do. So why is it that she is not able to be an explicit, sexy, confident artist who has #1 hits, right? And at the same time say Breonna Taylor. Like, because she could have been in her house and been Breonna Taylor. So I'm just... And mind you, some of the very people talking about this, they out here selling WAP themselves. So
Well, they
I'm
ain't
really
doing
trying to
nothing at all.
understand.
That's once again critics without credentials, armchair critics who just sit at home and talk. And you know, for me, it's like we always want to call celebrities and influencers to the table and say, "Why aren't you saying this? Why aren't you using your platform to talk about these things?" And then we criticize them when they actually do. So it makes a lot of artists say, "I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to deal with the criticism because, you know, I haven't actually lived my life in a perfect way. So when I talk about things that are subsequent to our lives, you know, that really matter to our culture, that's, you know, how we are in danger right now. So when I talk about those things, you know, I don't want to hear the backlash of people saying that I'm a hypocrite. No, I'm not a hypocrite.
Right.
I like to talk about WAP.
I don't know.
I'm come from the street. I talk about.
I don't know.
But this
So do we have to create a list of like the perfect artists that can speak up on the issue?
The bottom line.
Or
Let me tell you something. There's no perfect anything.
That's right.
This is what Until Freedom is. You see these things, right? Until Freedom is about anyone who wants the betterment of our people. Who wants to see us evolve. Anybody. There is an intersection for you in this movement. You can wear spandex. You can work in the strip club. You could came home from jail. You want to change your life around. You could be on a corner. You could have been in a gang. If you decide that you want to see better for your people and you want to do better and you want to utilize your voice and your platform, this is what we represent.
That's what
the movement's
audience
supposed to represent.
And see, that's what I think. And we need to do a whole new show. And also, we got to talk to Meg because there's so much.
Meg,
I think she needs to be a part of it. I think we need to talk to Cardi, so we can have these conversations. So we can have these. Cardi loves you. She always my brother, my son, my brother, my son. And she's been extremely supportive of us. And I think we need to have this conversation. But I also think that we need to do a show with our co-founders just to talk about who we're after. Because there's this perception that I can't believe Tamika would. And I have to explain, because I got calls from preachers and others saying, well, you shouldn't allow them to use you in this way. And when I finish explaining to them the audience that I'm not after you, Reverend. Like, I want you to be an ally with me. And I hope that we can work together and that I could bring you in to help support the growth of some of these young folks and to be a part of the family that we're creating. But you are not the audience that I am trying to go after. I'm looking for the ones who are following Meg Thee Stallion. That's who I want to talk to. I want to talk to
we
little
want the
girls.
least of these.
Right. I want to. No, they're not. Don't say that because they're. Don't say that.
No, listen to what I'm saying. The people who have been edged out. The people that said,
but that's not true because
well,
there
I want
are
the bottom
two. Because I
don't want the least of these.
Because no.
Because no. So you don't want the least of these?
There are people who are at the top of their game.
But I still want the least of these.
Yeah, I understand that.
So
but don't
that
be associating the least of these
no,
with...
you associate.
No, you said that because
but
I
was
speaking to... It doesn't matter. I was speaking about the audience that we're after. And then you inserted your word and said, we want the least of these. And
Those
I'm
two.
saying, don't.
We do, though.
So
do
now
we want
say
the
that
least
in
of
your
these?
time.
I'm just
but
saying,
when
do we
you
want the least of these? Are you
interject
saying
in
we
my
don't want the
time,
least of
no,
these?
that is another part of it.
Okay,
but it's
cool.
not even whether it's the least of these. It is a mentality that people have, that they are free, that they free flowing,
that
that
makes
they
sense.
sexy, that they're not bound by some of the things that we have learned, that you got to be certain type of thing, your skirt got to be under your knees and this in order for you to be respected in the movement. And I'm not saying that we want that too, right? We want those people to be with us, to be allies with us. But if we are going to actually make a change in society, we've got to go to and meet our people where they are. And they are not always in the church, in the right places, in the right spaces. Sometimes you actually got to go get them out of the juke joint. Like, that's just what it is.
So what I mean by the least of these is not to deter anybody or talk down, but the people who society says.
That's true.
Who has cast it away.
That's true.
The people who society deem not able to speak on these things. The people who a lot of organizations would have been like, these people are not politically correct, so we can't be, you
cleaned it up well.
But that's what I meant.
No, but that is what you mean, because you definitely are.
Because I'm the least of these.
Well, people say that about you.
That's what
sometimes
I
be
have
saying
no
that
problem
because you
with
get
it.
on my nerves.
Listen, I take on that.
But you, I'm
from the bottom.
Straight. You say that all the time. This is this running joke that we have, and we got to move on. Where when I told you, like, my son, don't lean on the garbage can, or my son, you shouldn't eat that. Did you see that the shrimp still has the little piece of poop in it and this and that? And then you'll say to me, I was in jail for 7 years.
Yeah, I was in
and
jail.
if I thought the way that you said, if I thought the way that you speaking this your thing,
I could never survive.
You wouldn't have survived. But you're not in jail anymore.
I get you. But what I'm trying to tell you is that I know how to adapt to anything.
Yeah.
I don't need to sleep on the bed. I can sleep on the couch. I can sleep on the rug. I'ma survive.
But we're not doing that anymore.
Okay. We're gonna take a quick break, and when we come back, we're gonna be joined by the family of Breonna Taylor. That's how we own it.
So we're back, and we are here with folks that I consider to be family. We consider to be family to Until Freedom, but family to us personally, and that is the family of Breonna Taylor, but not just family. Breonna's mom, Tamika Palmer, and her sister, Janiyah Palmer, who actually lived in the house with Breonna all the way until this tragic incident occurred. And so thank y'all, first of all, for being with us on Street Politicians today.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we're excited. You know they don't like to They don't like to do interviews.
They don't like to do interviews. So we special.
Right.
Like we FaceTime Janiyah like, yo, we need you to come. She's like,
okay.
All right.
I'll be there.
I'll be there.
But she says no to everything.
All the time. Every time I try to get her to speak somewhere, she was like, I put the mic, she just looks at me.
No. Don't want to. And I can understand. It's not an easy thing to talk about. It's not like somebody's asking you to talk about your favorite album or, a hairstyle or something. Like, we're asking you to talk about a real deep, tragic, dark situation that you're living with every single day. And to not be in the spotlight all the time and then be thrust into the spotlight. And again, not because you had a hit song or the best clothing or whatever, but because of the death, the murder of your loved one is got to be a hard place.
Absolutely.
There's nothing else to say. It's just a hard place. I know. So let's see. I think for me and Mysonne and I were talking a lot about how to really approach this interview, because we love y'all so much that we don't want to put you through having to talk about things that we know. I've seen you cringe when people ask you, Tamika, my namesake, by the way. Yes. We spell it the same and everything. When people ask you to try to go back to everything that has happened, especially that night, I see it on your face. It's like the worst thing to have to relive that. And oftentimes people who are in media, we don't like to think of ourselves as being in media, but we are. People, they don't understand like the nature of like how real it is and how what's the word? This is not like for TV. Like it's,
Right.
you know, it's a real thing that you're dealing with. And so they just ask the same questions and just constantly probing, looking for the thing that just kind of breaks you down so they could get the shot, you know. And we were like, we just not doing that.
Yeah,
like
that's
that's
not
not
what
what
we
we
wanted
wanted to do. And so we decided that people can just go do the research on that night. I think the FX documentary that the New York Times did is actually a good documentary. I don't think it's perfect, and I don't even know because we never discussed it, but I saw some things that I know weren't exactly accurate. But it is a good way to help people understand the basics around what happened. Your voice is in it. Kenny's voice is in the documentary. And so if people want to know...
And Janiyah is not.
And Janiyah, right.
I didn't realize that either until after
did.
We
it
see
happened.
you in it, I think.
No,
Maybe.
I literally
You
made
saw
sure
her
I wasn't in
car.
the
I
camera.
did not see her.
Lord
at
have
all.
mercy.
And I dodged the interview.
But okay, so we gotta fix that because you're a powerful voice. But we'll get to that in a minute. But you know, we decided that people should go watch things like that to get the beginning. You know, at first we were like, are we gonna ask about that night? No, because it's everywhere. You've talked about it over and over again. And so where I think we should start, and what we decided was that the thing that has us the most pissed off, and I keep talking about this over and over and over again, is that leading up to the last days before we heard from Daniel Cameron, the Kentucky Attorney General, Sam Aguiar, your attorney, told me, and I checked with him to make sure I wasn't in trouble for telling this, but he said it was okay, that he spoke with the Attorney General's office, and he told them, please do not have Tamika and her family go all the way to Frankfurt, which is an hour away from home. I guess y'all people that speed really fast here. This is the only place, by the way, where we go anywhere else, people don't drive right.
Nope.
But in Kentucky, we
They
haven't
actually
been
be driving.
complaining about how y'all drive. Y'all drive a little fast here. But this ride for 40 minutes or an hour, whatever, to get to Frankfurt, to hear a bullshit decision. We didn't want that, right? He said, don't have them come for something that you know is going to upset her. One, and I think he said, because the ride back is not fair. Don't do that to her. And still, you were asked to come quickly.
Yes.
It gave you a quick turnaround to show up in Frankfurt, which you did. You went there. And so I think the first question that I have, and again, I'm sorry for having to ask something that I know is painful to talk about, but what was the drive going and the drive coming back like, in light of the fact that you had already been told, or at least your lawyer said, don't have us come for nothing. So going, how are you feeling?
Hopeful, you know. So, like you said, we've already said don't make us drive down here for anything, and the fact that you call and you need us here in this short amount of time, so something has to come, something good has to come from that. So, I'm not really sure of what it would have been. I never trusted Cameron to begin with, but I was a little hopeful because here I am driving this drive to hear whatever it is you had to say.
And he could have called you on the phone.
He could have called me on the phone. Coming home was terrible. I threw up a lot coming home, so we had to keep pulling over, and it was long. It was like I was never getting home, and so yeah, I finally did get home. I don't know, I was in bed just the rest of the day. I never,
Couldn't get up.
no.
And you were waiting, Janiyah, to hear what happened. How did you feel? Did you believe, like, okay, well, if she's going, there's got to be something good?
That's exactly what I thought. And then I sat at home and watched it on TV with my best friend. It's like, well, that was kind of pointless. She could have stayed at home and we could have watched it as a family.
I think for me, you know, that's what bothered me. You know, we were here with you guys, and you know, and we had been privy to a little bit of that information also, and we sat in the square with everybody else, you know, and when I heard it, for me it was just like I was just imagining Tamika driving home. Like after that, I just wanted to understand, like how, why would he make this woman drive out there for that? You know, and that, I was stuck for like probably for about 30 minutes straight. So I know that. So basically, you saying before, I remember when you had originally met with Cameron, which was months afterwards, because he never even reached out to you until how many months was it?
Oh God. By then it probably was 4 months.
About 4 months was the first time he even called you guys, and he, what did he do when he called you?
Just the offered condolences. Just that he would do everything he could to make sure the truth came out, and that he would definitely reach out and talk to me before any. He released the information to the public, because that was part of the thing that we were tired of finding out when the public found out. And you know, that I thought it was disrespectful for one, but he assured me that that wouldn't happen again. But
once again,
he failed.
He pretty much failed. And it's like, and I think that's what it was for me, just understanding that. And I remember after you had came back, because you came over here and we sat and we talked for a while, and y'all were not like you had much faith in the system or him, but you said that he seemed like he was authentic, like he seemed like he wanted to do the right
Like
thing.
he had a heart.
Like
Yeah,
he had a
that
heart.
was
Absolutely.
specific.
That was the specific word.
That's what it was. He definitely acted as if he did, and it definitely was an act. Because even the moment of him telling me whatever the decision was, he put on a show. Is what it was.
Wow.
So finding out that the only indictment, because your sister Bianca describes a moment where she feels like, oh well, I do hear something. You know, there's some indictment that's happening, and so it's like not that it was the full justice or whatever, but it just sounded like something. And then she says there was a moment, which I also heard a lot about, and we're going to talk to attorney Linda Baker, where she had to explain that the actual charge wasn't for someone killing Breonna. It was for the wall, the bullets that went in the wall. So he actually had you drive to Frankfurt to tell you that they were indicting the wall.
Absolutely.
The bullets in the wall. You know, that was what, I don't know. And you always said you never had faith. Why? Because of the...
Well, A, part of it being the way the system has always been set up and the way it's always treated us as black people. B, just because to learn anything about the history of Cameron, I never felt that this particular decision should have been left up to him. He wasn't equipped to do the right thing.
And he also made a commitment when he took the Fraternal Order of Police. That's the police union. This is the people, the FOP. They are the big boys for the police. That's where the officers run to for problems, for issues, right? So he took an endorsement from them, a national organization. Every time a black person is killed in this country, and it is a high-profile situation where police are involved, they come out and try to defend the police officer's actions. I think in George Floyd, they were a little like, well, you know, this was wrong. But that's because they know people could see right on tape exactly what happened. And so for them to try to go in the opposite direction, when folks were burning down Minneapolis, it probably wasn't the right way to go, right? Like, it would have just incited more. And so that's a political move.
Definitely.
Because they haven't shown that they actually care about black bodies. And so when Daniel Cameron is standing there and he's accepting their nomination their endorsement in 2019, I think, he says, I understand exactly what this endorsement means. I will be the voice and advocate for law enforcement. So why would we ever think, even though I was hopeful, but why would we ever think that he was going to be Breonna's advocate which is so painful.
Absolutely. So, which is why I say he was never equipped to do that job. He had already accepted to be on the police side.
Yeah, he already made that decision. And we see it now. It's clear. People thought we were a little crazy. Like, he was just saying it. Now we like, the little emoji.
In hindsight, when you sit there and you actually look back, he knew this weeks ago.
Right.
Absolutely.
Because he never actually even presented anything that looked like justice for Breonna Taylor. So he called you when he could have, he made you drive up there. He could have called you a week ago when he presented it to the, because he knew he never presented anything that was going to get justice for Breonna Taylor.
He knew that the moment they were putting boards up on windows downtown. So he chose to drag that out. He chose to torture me and my family even more. He chose that.
You said something about how it feels that your daughter has died over and over again for 194 days at that time.
At the time.
Wow.
Yes.
And how many days has it been now?
Oh, goodness.
It's just time to stop counting the days.
Yeah, like I
We
think
passed
that
200
day, that day killed me out. So, yeah.
So, it's a lot goes on, and everybody has an opinion, everybody has a story. And, me knowing you guys, and y'all like my family, we together.
No, we're family.
We are family.
Forever.
Literally, not even a word like y'all family. So I take a lot of stuff personal. So I just want to know, like, this is something that's been going on constantly, hearing it over. Does it bother you? How does it make you feel when people constantly say that Breonna was a drug dealer?
Disrespected, angry, pissed. I could go on forever. She's always texting me. I know you said I shouldn't be disrespectful to grown people, but they're pissing me off, and, so it's but at the same time, there's people who in the beginning were saying those things who are writing me now on social media. I'm so sorry that I ever thought that. I'm so sorry, because the more this story comes out each day, there's a new piece of information that shows that these officers were wrong, that Daniel Cameron was wrong, and there's people who wish that they were never on that side.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And I know we can't talk about the legal case because there are other legal avenues that your attorneys who will be coming up after you will talk about. But this idea that suspicious packages was going where you live, does it make you feel like, I lived there? I'm telling y'all that we didn't have, talk about how that makes you feel knowing that people are making up a storyline and the police made it up.
Absolutely.
To be clear, they made it up because it's very obvious at this point that the Postal Service told them more than one time, no packages, no packages, no packages. Even a month after Breonna was killed, the officer went back, tried to ask again while they're building a case, and the post office said no.
It's annoying because if they really know, all those packages was for me and her because we both were going on vacation a week apart from each other.
So
you
it's
guys
like getting your stuff, whatever.
Just get everything we needed for our vacation. So
but
it's
the
annoying.
thing is, everybody uses Amazon, this and that. Like, this is what we do.
Well, not only that, it's everybody, all of us who order things send it to that house because somebody's always there to get the packages there because, the neighbors and everybody will look out for packages. Yeah. So I order everything goes to this house. My sister, everything goes to this house. So,
and they assume that just because we're black and that somebody in this situation has a sketchy background, that it just makes Breonna Taylor and her home, your home, the trap house. It's not. It's just unbelievable.
It's unbelievable because to know Breonna she's the person in a heartbeat will say, if you get caught with something in my car, I'm telling. I got stuff to do with my life. I'm telling. That's just the type of person she was. So it just, to hear those things pisses you off, And
I think it pisses me off.
more than them?
More than you. I don't know if it's more than you, but I know I'm very pissed off. Like, I go to Jania's page sometimes, and I see, like, little video clips that she posts of her and Breonna, and it's just like, how did this happen? How did, Like when you're posting those videos, like do you just be in the house and just thinking about things, or like what goes through your mind?
A lot of times when I post them, it's because they're coming up in my memories. But it's just like, it's my friend.
Your friend.
Your friend.
That's a big deal because you can have a sister
that ain't
your friend.
Yeah. I
Or
see a lot of
sibling.
those.
Yeah. But do you think you're suffering a little bit, or do you think that Janiyah is suffering a little bit from survivor's remorse? A feeling of like, I should have been there, should have been me.
I don't necessarily think she thinks it should have been her, but I definitely think she thinks, oh, I should have been there, as if something could have been, something could have been different. They both could have been gone had she been there. There's a number of things that could have been different had she been there, so I think God put her exactly where she needed to be, and she needs to understand that.
You struggling with that? Not being there.
Yeah, I wish I didn't go to California.
Yeah, but God can do things.
All the thing.
Do things. Move, because you told me when we first met, you were like, oh, this is my room and this is where a lot of bullets were, and I would have been in there.
Yeah, I would have.
Wow. So I think we're winding down, and I want to ask you guys about Kenny. I love me some Kenny.
We all do.
I seen him last night.
Kenny is our guy.
Yes, he is.
We asked, as Mysonne and I were talking about this, he was like, y'all, you want us to protect you. You want us to protect you. You want us to stand in the gap. You want us to do these things. He wasn't talking about this issue, but in other things. And we both were saying today, as we were preparing, that Kenny did the thing that we ask our men to do. And yet they're using it to try to frame him as being the reason why. Kenny he didn't fire a warning shot and did a warning shot, and then they went and got a botched warrant. That happened first, but that seems like that's just not a part of the conversation. So how is that relationship?
So I love Kenny. I think Kenny did exactly what he should have done. And I know that there's a lot of people who say they wouldn't agree, but they're also the people who've never been put in that situation.
Right.
So, but I think that also Kenny is having a hard time dealing with how that, he thinks is, what if I wasn't there that night? Maybe I shouldn't have been there, and this could have played out different. But for me, I think if he wasn't there, who knows what they would have done to her. And he's the only person who can tell us any type of anything from that night, because the police still hasn't done that.
Right. So he's where you're getting the details about Breonna's last moment.
Absolutely.
That's just, and he's such a good guy.
He really is.
He loved Breonna so much. And now he takes care of Janiyah.
Get to my nerves.
I think they take care of each other.
I think so.
That sounds
I
about
see.
right. Let me correct it. They
Real
take
brother
care of
and
each
sister
other.
relationship.
Yeah, I wonder, one day we'll get to ask Kenny, does he feel, is there any guilt in his heart, that maybe, like you said, maybe I just shouldn't have been home, there with her that night. But I know we're proud. We're proud of the fact that he tried. He tried to protect his home. He tried to protect his woman. And what he did was not the reason why this happened. It was a part. They caused all of it, and he was he had a role in what took place. So I don't know. The last thing we want to talk about, which we already kind of touched on, is the online trolls. Because I've had to call you and say, Tamika, you cannot actually say the things you're thinking on the internet. How you gonna tell Janiyah and you doing it?
Well, because I'm her mother. Don't do what I do. So that's number one. But number two, and I still have a job as a mother to protect my kids. And although she's not here, I'm still going to protect her. I'm going to protect who she was, her name, and what she could have been. So, yeah, sometimes I get caught up in those moments, but I don't think there'll be plenty of days I'll still get caught up, because I'll never stop defending that.
You ain't alone.
Especially the week of the settlement announcement. That was a tough week because people were just saying the most ignorant stuff ever. We're going to talk with your attorneys about that. But, you know, one of the things that you did, and I think this is a note that we can end on, is that you were very adamant that the settlement agreement would not just be a settlement for money, but that there will also be reforms included in that settlement process. And I want to say that I'm really proud that that's something that you focused on, and it also taught your family, your entire family, and the community in Louisville and across the country what it looks like to stand up not just for your own child but for other people's children. And certainly it also means a lot for me and my own family. And I want to know, what was the mindset going into it, and how do you feel about it now? You feel like you did exactly the right thing?
Yeah, I definitely still feel like I did the right thing. And as far as the mindset, I feel had a lot of those things been in place, that wouldn't have happened to Breonna. But I have to make sure that Janiyah doesn't become a Breonna. So that was it for me.
Yeah.
So for me, right, because people are just so ignorant, right, and I just hate having me just saying this. The civil settlement has nothing to do with a criminal case.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not. There was no. You did not settle and say you have a gag order to where you cannot talk about Breonna's case.
And justice for Breonna.
The only people who think that are Facebook lawyers, internet lawyers. I mean,
it's the worst thing. I go on Facebook and they be like, she took the money, so she knew she was gonna do this. They paid her off. I'm like, what are you talking
Where did you get
Where
this
did you
from?
get this information?
how can anybody pay you for your child's life? I mean, what's the price tag for that?
Yeah. No, you know, and we do get caught up in the comments, which I suggest that you don't talk to trolls, especially as Teslin Figueroa, our girl, says. Don't talk to people who they not even give you their first and last name. You don't even know who they are.
Right.
And you sit up there arguing back and forth with nobody in the air, making yourself,
They got
your
3
blood
followers,
pressure's
and you
going
like,
up.
You arguing
Yeah,
for
your
10,
blood
20
pressure's
Ooh,
up.
some days.
I know, because you want to give them your address.
Yeah.
And say,
And
pull
"Pull
up.
That's right.
I'm with it. About mine,
Exactly. But you know, the issue around the settlement piece for me was, I've seen people get charges for the cops and $0 or $1 million or, you know, a very small settlement. I've seen people get settlements, no justice. I've seen so many different scenarios, a little, you know, charges that are very light and a little bit of money. And so this idea that there's one model or one thing, we're trying to create that as we go along. We're trying to, as you guys did, push the envelope, receiving the largest settlement that anyone has received, a black woman. Now, we know that Corinne Gaines, which is another black woman who was killed by police in Maryland, that her family has a settlement that is larger, but that settlement has been stopped in its tracks by the courts. So we're talking about received in terms that I ain't in your pocket and in your business, but the paperwork is signed and the people gonna get it done. In her situation, we don't know what's gonna happen. So to date, this settlement that you all had is the most historic for a black woman killed by police across this country. And you included reforms, policy changes
Which has
that
not
are
been done.
specific to what happened here in the Breonna Taylor case and some other things that community members wanted you to include. That's powerful. It's the reform for me.
For me,
Yeah.
it's the reform for me.
Okay.
And that's why you are going to be the leader up until freedom moves.
That's
right.
That's
I
right.
know.
That's right.
That's
I'm
right.
excited.
We need organizers. We need people who want to take on that role. And right now, listen, you've been pushed into leadership. You've been pushed into this role, and I just want to tell you that you wear it with grace. You wear it with honor, with class.
Yes.
Since I've met you, you have been a classy woman. You have wanted to say the worst things, and you've taken your time. You know when to speak, and you always speak powerful. And you always, and I know that Breonna is looking at both of you, and she's a legend.
Yeah.
And you made her a legend. You've made your daughter a legend because the way that you continue this work, the way that you stand in this gap, the way that you stand up and you stand with your shoulders straight and your head high, and you represent her, no matter what they throw at you, is just phenomenal. So I just want to say thank you.
Legendary for sure. Thank y'all so much for doing this with us today.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, Janiyah. We appreciate
Thank you, Janiyah.
Thank you for having us.
And we love y'all so
We love
much.
y'all.
We love you.
Breonna Taylor's life, though, matters. And so in the matter of Breonna Taylor, we're going to be talking about this with a lot of people here in Louisville and across the country who have been a part of the efforts to get justice for her. You heard from her family. You've heard from her attorney. Now we're going to be hearing from some of the state legislators who have picked up legislation in Breonna's name, some of the activists that have been on the ground, and we want to hear from you.
Yes, we do. Listen, once again, we might not always be right, and we might not always be wrong, and we definitely don't always agree, but we're going to always be authentic.
Street politicians, peace.
Salute.
That's how we own it.